Okay, so welcome to Majesty's House of Music. Now, this is part 4 of our series on the key of D, intermediate series. Now, for the basic, for the beginner series, as a beginner, you are really supposed to know a few scales. You're supposed to know the major scale, yeah? On both hands. Okay, yeah? So you're supposed to know the major scale on both hands. Even 2 octaves. Okay, 2 octaves. But that's not what I'm going to be looking at really. That's beginner stuff, yeah? Now you are an intermediate player. You probably know all these things. So for this one, I'm going to be introducing a new scale, an introduction to what I like to call a scale that is predominantly in gospel music, especially black gospel music. They call it the pentatonic scale. Okay. Now, okay, I'm going to be introducing the pentatonic scale, not just in terms of not only on key D, but I'll introduce it in another key so that you can see the use. But here is your pentatonic scale. The pentatonic scale only has 5 notes. That's why it's called pentatonic. It has 5 notes. So you have on assuming you have your major scale, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if you are to borrow the pentatonic from the major scale, you will have the notes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 of the major scale. So you ignore the 4 and the 7. Okay. If you take the major scale and remove the 4 and the 7, what you remain with is the pentatonic scale. You remain with the 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So the D major pentatonic scale has these notes: D, E, F sharp. Okay, D, E, F sharp, A, and B. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have those 5 notes: D, E, F sharp, A, and B. So where do you even use a pentatonic scale? You might be asking me, where do I use a pentatonic scale? Now, I'll show you in a few moments. The other pentatonic scale you need to learn, as long as you're using the key of G, or the key of D, is the G pentatonic scale. And how does the G pentatonic scale look like? This is how it looks like: G, A, B, D, and E. Okay. So you have those 5 notes, yeah? G, A, B, D, E. That's the G pentatonic scale. And as long as you're learning the G pentatonic scale, you also need to know the D pentatonic scale. Okay? D, E, F sharp, A, and B. Now, how does that help you as an intermediate player? Now, this is what you need to know. Sometimes you don't need to be playing chords throughout. Like, let's say you are 1, you are 2, you are 3. Okay, you don't need to be playing chords all the time. Sometimes you just, for example, you move the chord you are playing on your right hand, you move it to your left hand and you play a scale on your right hand. This is just simple. So let's say a 2 chord. That's your left hand voicing, yeah? The 10th stretch, or maybe this, the reduced voicing. So as long as you have the 10th stretch, this we said you could have which chord on your right hand? We said you could have an E minor 7, E, D, E, G, B, and D. Sometimes what you do, so this is just an introduction. So maybe you can play that chord on your left hand, okay? Sometimes. So you have E minor 7th on your left hand. Then you can now use that pentatonic scale, yeah? Okay. So you can use it for your 2 chord. Let's say, let me give you the correct finger positions. So I'm using these 3. I'm starting from F sharp. Okay, so I'm using the middle finger on F sharp, first finger on E, my thumb on D, and then the middle finger on B, and then my thumb on A, and then back to the middle finger again on F sharp. Okay, so that's pretty simple, yeah. Sometimes you don't have to play it all the way backwards. You can even use a pivot, like you see that? It's like I'm going back and forth. I can always do that. So this is just an introduction to the pentatonic scale. So when do you use it? You can use it on the 2 chord. Okay, like okay. Okay, and make sure it's flowing. Let it not sound like okay, make sure it's flowing, yeah. So for your 2, let's say you're playing this chord. Now you see the importance of mastering the 10th stretch or this voicing, because if you are playing this voicing on your left hand, like I showed you in the first chapter, you already can do the scale without necessarily playing a chord on your right hand. Okay. Okay. So that's your pentatonic scale on the 2. You can also do it on the 5. Okay, like this, or maybe this. And take it to the 1. So this is something you will need to practice a lot. So these 3 fingers, okay, and then I cross my middle finger on the 6 on the B, my thumb on the A, then I cross again my middle finger on F sharp, first finger on E, then thumb on D. Okay, so that's pretty simple, right? Now I told you also need to master the the G pentatonic scale. Now, but before I go there, the other thing you need to know, you can start the pentatonic scale from anywhere, really. You don't have to start it from the 3. You can start it from the 5. You can even start it from the 6. Any of these 5 notes is eligible. Okay? Now, you can even play it forward. How do you play it forward? Let's say you wanted to play a 2 chord. See, you remember that voicing? E, B, and G. So let's say you wanted to play a 2 chord. Once you play it like that, you can move forward with the pentatonic scale, yeah? Okay, like something like. So that's A, B, and then A, D, E, and F sharp, okay? Okay, so you need to practice that, yeah? So I'm playing A and B with my left hand, then D, E, F sharp with my right hand. Okay? See that? So that's the 2. Okay, so instead of you playing the 2 all the time, yeah, you can do. That's a pentatonic scale. Now, for the G pentatonic scale, you use it with the 5 chord. So this was the 5. I said in combinations, you could play a 4 over the 5 or the 2 over the 5. If you're playing a 2 over the 5, now you can use the G pentatonic scale, like something like this. Oh, or maybe. Okay, so like. Then. So this is how I'm playing my G pentatonic scale. D and E on my left hand, G, A, B on my right hand. Okay, so. That's just introduction to the pentatonic scale. So as long as you're playing a 2 over the 5 on the key of D, as long as you're playing this chord, yeah, you can do. Especially if you're playing a 5 over the 1. So let's say, then. See that? You need to practice that speed. So this was just an introduction to the pentatonic scale, the D and the G pentatonic scale, how you can use them on the key of D. Now, in more advanced courses, you don't just use the pentatonic scale, yeah? You will use it in different ways. But for now, I want you to master this. Okay, I said you can play over the 2. Or if you're playing a 4 over the 5, you can also play that like the D to the 1. But the best thing to play over the 5, this one, is G pentatonic scale, which looks like it's C to the 1. The other place where you can play the D pentatonic scale is on the 6th chord. Now, if you voice it this way, the way I showed you in chapter 1, B, F sharp, and A, you can do that. Maybe it's taking you to the 2, so just go to the 2. Okay, so. But that's just it. So you have your 2 pentatonic scales. It's an introduction to the pentatonic scale. So that's another scale that you need to know, apart from the major and the minor. Yeah, those are the beginner stuff. But as you are advancing, you'll get introduced to other scales. So this was just an introduction to the pentatonic scale, where you can use it, how you can use it. Make sure you get your voicings on your left hand very correct. So make sure you check chapter 1 correctly, part 1 especially. So that will be it for this chapter. It's pretty simple, right? So you can practice, and make sure you practice with a metronome. Practice with the correct fingering and practice with a metronome so that you get this pentatonic scale correctly. So the fingering for the D pentatonic scale and the G pentatonic scale is exactly the same. So you see that? So make sure you practice, and you practice with a metronome till you get this thing correct. So that will be it for, is it part 4? Yeah, it should be part 4. I'll see you in part 5 of the intermediate D series.